Have you ever felt like your heart was quietly breaking but no one noticed? You go through the motions of the day, you smile when people expect you to smile, you reply with "I'm okay" because you don't even know how to explain what's really going on inside, but deep down you feel hollow, you feel tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix. You feel like the world is moving on and you're just standing still trying to catch your breath. Maybe you felt invisible in a crowd. Maybe you've cried silently into your pillow, hoping no one hears. Or maybe you've stopped crying altogether, because even your tears feel tired now. And you wonder, where is Allah in all this? Why does He feel so far when you need Him the most? If that's something your heart whispers in the quiet, then this message is for you, because you are not weak, you are not broken, and you are certainly not forgotten. In fact, what if I told you that these feelings you're struggling with aren't signs of distance from Allah? They might actually be signs that He's closer to you than ever. You see, we've come to believe that being close to Allah means being constantly happy, strong, and unshaken. But that's not what faith always looks like. Even the prophets felt deep sadness. Even the most righteous felt fear, worry, and loneliness. There was a moment in the life of Prophet Jacob when he lost his beloved son, and in his grief he said, "I only complain of my sorrow and my sadness to Allah." He didn't hide his pain. He took it to the one who understands it completely. That's what you're allowed to do. That's what your heart is being called to do. Because sometimes the emotions we're most ashamed of, the ones we bury and try to silence, are actually the heart's way of reaching for Allah. When you cry alone in the dark, when you whisper a dua with trembling lips, when you feel like no one understands you, Allah does. He sees every tear. He hears every breath. And even when you can't find the words, He already knows what your heart is trying to say. The pain you're carrying, it's not a punishment, it's a sign. It means your heart is alive. It means your soul is reaching out. And it may be that this very moment of hardship is the moment that Allah is drawing you closer to Him. So don't push these emotions away. Don't be ashamed of feeling too much. These emotions might be the very signs that Allah is near, gently, quietly, beautifully, closer than you've ever imagined. That deep sadness you're carrying, it could be a doorway to healing. That fear that keeps you up at night, it might be the reason you finally fall into sincere trust. That silence in your dua might be the loudest cry of your heart, and Allah responds. Always. So stay with me. This isn't just a reminder, it's a lifeline. Over the next few moments, I'll walk you through 7 powerful emotions that so many of us feel. Emotions that don't mean you're failing in faith. They may actually be signs of divine closeness. Together we'll unpack these feelings. We'll explore why they hurt, and how they can lead us not into despair, but into peace. This is not a lecture. This is a journey, a quiet one, a healing one. And if your heart is tired, if your soul has been whispering for a sign, this might be it. You are not walking alone. Allah is near, and every emotion you're feeling might be His way of calling you back to Him. Let's walk through this together. There's something that many of us silently carry, a question we're often too afraid to ask out loud. If I'm trying so hard to be close to Allah, then why do I feel so distant from Him? You pray, you make dua, you try to be a better person, but still, the pain lingers, the anxiety doesn't stop, the heartbreak doesn't heal. And after a while, you start to wonder, is this a sign that my faith is weak, that Allah is displeased with me? But that couldn't be further from the truth. Emotional struggle is not spiritual failure, It's human, it's real, and it can even be sacred. We often think that strong faith means being calm all the time, that trusting Allah means never crying, that true belief means always having clarity, confidence, and peace. But when you open the stories of the prophets, when you look at the lives of the most beloved souls to Allah, you'll find tears. You'll find moments of deep sadness. You'll find silent prayers in the middle of the night, not for more blessings, but just for strength to keep going. Even the most righteous hearts have broken. Even they asked, when will relief come? What does that tell you? It tells you that emotion, raw, painful, overwhelming emotion, is not a sign of weakness. It can be a sign of being fully alive, fully present, and fully turned toward the one who created your heart in the first place. That feeling you carry, that ache, that worry, that emptiness, it may not be a wall between you and Allah. It may actually be the bridge that brings you closer to Him. Because here's something many people don't realize: some of the most powerful spiritual moments don't come in happiness. They come in brokenness. They come when your voice shakes in dua, when your heart feels heavy, but you still choose to believe, when your soul feels tired, but you still whisper His name. These are not signs of distance. They're signs of longing. They're signs of trust. They are signs that your heart is still reaching for Allah, even when everything around you feels like it's falling apart. You see, emotions aren't the enemy. They're the language of the soul. And when you feel deeply, when you feel sadness, fear, confusion, guilt, or even numbness, those emotions are calling you to pause, to reflect, to reconnect. They are not here to destroy you. They're here to remind you, you are not alone in your pain. So many of us carry quiet battles. We put on smiles and carry responsibilities. We show up every day even when our hearts are heavy. And in all of that, we forget Allah sees what others don't. He knows what the world overlooks. He knows the nights you've cried. He knows the effort you've made. He knows how hard it is to keep believing when nothing makes sense. And He is near. The Quran tells us clearly, indeed, with hardship comes ease, not after hardship with it. Meaning, while you are in pain, ease is already surrounding you. While you're crying, healing is already unfolding. While you're feeling distant, mercy is already close. That's the message we need to remember. Your emotions are not problems to be fixed. They are signs to be honored. They are spiritual invitations calling you back to your Lord. So in this video, we're going to look at 7 specific emotions, 7 feelings that many of us struggle with quietly, believing they make us less faithful, less strong, less worthy. But what if these emotions are actually gifts? What if feeling deeply is a sign that Allah is softening your heart? What if sadness is preparing you for peace? What if silence is drawing you into remembrance? We'll explore that gently, honestly, and together. Each emotion we talk about will come with comfort, with perspective, with a reminder that even in your lowest moments, Allah is never far. He's closer to you than you realize. And these emotions, they might be the very signs your heart has been waiting for. Now that we understand emotions aren't something to be ashamed of, but signs that Allah may be closer than we think, let's walk through 7 specific emotions many of us feel and explore how they can actually bring us nearer to Allah. These are not random feelings. They are powerful spiritual invitations, calling you back to peace, back to healing, and back to your Creator. Let's begin with the first one. You're in your room, alone. Everyone's asleep. And for some reason, your heart just can't hold it in anymore. The tears come and no one sees them. No one hears your pain. but Allah does. These moments, these tears are not wasted. They are the purest conversations between you and the one who knows your heart better than you do. Prophet Muhammad once said, there are two eyes that the fire will never touch. One that cries out of fear and love for Allah. That means every tear shed in honesty counts. Even when you don't say a word, Allah hears what the soul is saying, so let them fall. Don't wipe them away in shame. Each tear carries your pain and your healing. There's a kind of emptiness that comes after doing something you regret. You feel distant, dirty, unworthy. You wonder if Allah will ever forgive you. But that guilt, that discomfort, that's not rejection. That's your heart trying to return. It's a wake-up call, not a wall. It means your soul hasn't died. It still knows right from wrong. Allah says, O my servants who have wronged themselves, never despair of my mercy. He didn't say only the good ones or only those who never mess up. He said, all my servants. So if you're feeling empty after falling, know that this is the moment to turn back, say a sincere dua, ask for forgiveness, and know that Allah is not tired of you. Even if you are tired of yourself, there are days when the sadness just feels too heavy. You don't want to get out of bed. Nothing excites you. Everything feels gray. You might even feel guilty, like, why am I sad when I should be grateful? But sadness is not a sign of ingratitude. It's part of being human. Even Mary, one of the most honored women in history, felt overwhelmed. She once cried, I wish I had died before this, not because she lacked faith, but because the pain was real. If you feel overwhelmed, know this, you are allowed to grieve, you are allowed to rest, you are allowed to feel broken, and Allah in His mercy is near, especially when you feel most fragile. Sometimes it's not sadness, it's the absence of feeling altogether. You feel disconnected from people, from prayer, from life. You sit in prayer and nothing stirs inside. You make dua and it feels empty. That numbness is one of the hardest states because you don't even know how to begin healing. But here's the thing, silence is not absence, and numbness is not failure. Even when you feel nothing, if you still turn to Allah, even with an empty heart, it still counts. Allah sees the effort when you pray with dry eyes. He counts the dua you whisper, even when you don't feel anything inside. Your faith is not measured by how emotional you feel. It's measured by your effort, even in the quiet. You see someone else's life, their success, their marriage, their children, their ease, and a small part of you feels bitter, sad, left behind. Then you feel guilty for even feeling that way. But here's the truth, feeling jealousy doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you human. What matters is what you do with that feeling. Instead of sitting in comparison, turn it into dua. Instead of resenting someone, say, Ya Allah, grant me peace in what you've written for me and bless them too. And remind yourself, what's written for you is coming. And what you see online or around you is never the full story. You're doing everything right, but the future still scares you. What if I never get married? What if I fail again? What if nothing ever changes? This fear isn't a lack of faith. It's a sign that you care, that you're aware. But here's the comfort. The future is not in your hands. It never was. It belongs to the one who has always taken care of you. Allah says, and whoever trusts in Allah, He is enough for them. So take one day at a time. Make your plans, but hold them loosely. Trust that what missed you was never meant for you, and what's meant for you is already written. After days of anxiety, stress, and chaos, there's a moment where you just feel calm, not because things got better, but because something inside you let go. That calm, that unexpected peace is a sign. It's not random, no coincidence. It's mercy. It's Allah giving your heart a break, a breath, a moment to recharge. Cherish it, even if it's brief, even if it only lasts a few hours. It's a reminder that healing is possible, that Allah hasn't forgotten you, that your heart still knows how to breathe. These 7 emotions, they may feel like burdens, but they might actually be signs of nearness, signs that Allah is softening your heart, making space for His mercy, and guiding you gently back to Him. Let every emotion you feel be a doorway, not to shame but to healing, not to despair but to return, because no matter what you feel, you are never too far for Allah's mercy to reach you. Now let's bring all of this even closer to home, because understanding emotions in theory is one thing, but what about when you're in the middle of real life pain? Let's talk about the challenges so many Muslims quietly face, not in books, not in ideal situations, but in the real world, with real pressures, real heartbreaks, and real questions. You've been patient, you've been kind, you forgave what most people would have walked away from, but still the hurt continues. The same person who claims to love you keeps breaking your trust. The words they say tear you down. The way they treat you drains you, and yet you stay because you believe in loyalty, because you were taught to forgive, because you hope they'll change. But here's the truth. Forgiveness doesn't mean allowing yourself to be destroyed. Loyalty doesn't mean becoming numb to emotional pain. Allah sees what no one else sees. He knows how much you've endured. And sometimes stepping away is not weakness, it's strength. Sometimes choosing peace is choosing to honor your dignity. If a relationship keeps pulling you away from your peace, your worth, and your remembrance of Allah, it might be time to let go, with love, with dua, and with trust in what Allah has planned ahead. You've applied to job after job, you've tightened your budget, you've worked hard, but nothing seems to move. There are bills to pay, people to support, expectations to meet. And in the quiet of the night, you sit and wonder, am I a failure? But you're not. Your worth was never measured by your paycheck. Your dignity is not tied to your income. Allah is the provider, not your boss, not your resume, not your degree. The Prophet said that if we truly trusted in Allah the way we're meant to, we would be provided for, just like the birds who leave their nest hungry in the morning and return full by night. So keep trying, but don't carry the burden alone. Speak to Allah in your struggle. Ask for help in your sujood. Let the pressure become dua. Let the tension lead to trust. You're smiling, you're functioning, you're doing everything you're supposed to do, but inside there's a storm. You're anxious all the time. You feel like you're drowning, but no one notices because you've gotten good at hiding it. And maybe you've even asked yourself, is this because my faith is weak? No, it's not. Mental health struggles are real. They are not a reflection of your iman. They're a reflection of your humanity. Even the Prophet experienced sadness so intense that Allah comforted him with verses from the Quran. So don't shame yourself. Reach out, get help, pray and seek healing spiritually and emotionally. And remember, sometimes the strongest form of trust is not pushing through on your own, but saying, Ya Allah, I need help. You try to be the good one, you do everything right, you meet expectations, you sacrifice your dreams, but it's never enough. They don't see your effort, they overlook your pain. And deep down you start to feel invisible in your own home. But Allah sees. Even if your family never says thank you, even if no one acknowledges the battles you fight in silence, Allah counts every effort, every breath, every unspoken frustration that you hold back just to keep the peace. He knows how exhausting it is. And He promises that no good deed, no matter how small, ever goes to waste. So keep going. Not for people, not for praise, but because your reward is written, not in their words, but with Allah. And sometimes it's not one big event, it's just a low hum of sadness, a slow heaviness you can't explain. You're not sure why, but you don't feel like yourself anymore. There's no trauma, no headline, no drama, just a quiet ache. And you wonder if it even matters, if Allah sees it. He does. He is the one who knows what's hidden in the chests. Even the emotions you can't describe have a place in His mercy. So talk to Him, even if your voice shakes, even if you don't know what to say, even if all you can whisper is, Ya Allah, help me. Whatever your struggle is, you are not alone. Maybe your test isn't here to break you. Maybe it's here to build you. Maybe that ache you carry isn't punishment, but protection. Maybe your lowest moment is the beginning of your deepest connection with Allah. Let your challenges become reminders. Let your sadness become softness. Let your confusion lead to dua. Because your emotions don't make you less faithful. They might just be the exact path that's leading you closer to the one who created you. So, if you've been feeling any of these emotions, sadness, fear, emptiness, guilt, jealousy, numbness, or even sudden calm, please don't rush to judge yourself. Don't assume that your emotions mean you've failed or that Allah is far, because in reality these emotions might be proof that your heart is still alive, still searching, still yearning for its Creator. You're not distant, you're not forgotten, and you are not broken beyond repair. Allah is near, even when you don't feel it, especially when you're too tired to pray properly, especially when your du'as feel empty, especially when your tears have dried up, but your soul still aches. You see, faith isn't about always feeling strong. It's about turning to Allah even when you feel weak. It's not about having all the answers. It's about trusting the one who does. Sometimes we think nearness to Allah will feel like light and joy and perfect peace, but often it feels like crying alone in the dark. It feels like whispering a dua you're not sure you have the strength to believe in. It feels like taking one more step, even when your heart is exhausted. And in those exact moments, Allah is closer than ever. The Quran says, when my servants ask you about me, tell them, I am near. I respond to the call of the caller when they call upon me. He didn't say, when the righteous call me, or when the perfect believers call me. He simply said, when they call, that means you, exactly as you are right now. No matter how long it's been, no matter what you've done, no matter what you're carrying. So if you've been waiting for a sign to return to Him, this is it. If your soul has been whispering for something, anything, to remind you that you're not alone, let this be the moment your heart remembers Allah is not far. He's near. He always has been. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to fix everything today. You just have to take one honest step back toward Him. And He, in His mercy, will carry you the rest of the way. If this message reached your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who might be struggling in silence. You never know who needs this reminder. And if you're ready to reconnect, start with one simple dua. Ya Allah, I don't have the words, but you know my heart. Please bring me back to you. Ameen.